You know that guy at the carnival running the shell game? 3 cups, one ball, keeps moving them around real quick, and you're supposed to keep track of what cup has the ball? That's how most contractors manage their cash accounts. Money flies around like chickens in a tornado. OpEx to JobEx, JobEx to payroll, payroll account to that emergency vendor payment, and by Friday afternoon, you can't tell if you're actually making money or just real good at moving it all around fast enough to avoid bouncing checks. Today, we're drawing a hard line between two words that sound the same but mean completely different things: allocation versus transfer. One builds a foundation for cash control, the other undermines it like termites in your floor joists. I'm Wade Carpenter, CPA and author of Profit First for Commercial Construction. And if your bank balances lie to you louder than a politician in campaign season, this one's for you. Here's what happens in most construction companies every single week.
Monday morning, a $50,000 pay app hits your account. You feel rich for about 4 hours. Then reality kicks in. You've got $30,000 in payroll hitting Friday. Subs texting you for their draws, a material supplier who wants COD before delivery, and somewhere in the back of your mind, you remember you haven't paid yourself in 3 weeks. So what do? You start moving money around. Tuesday, you transfer $15,000 to cover that sub you forgot about. Wednesday, you move $8,000 to make sure payroll clears. Thursday, the lumberyard calls, so you shuffle another $12,000. By Friday, you've moved money so many times you have no earthly idea what any of your account balances actually mean. Most contractors think this is cash management. It's not. It's cash chaos disguised as urgency.
Here's the thing about money movement. Every time you casually transfer cash between accounts to put out a fire, you're not just solving a problem, you're erasing the evidence that would have told you the fire was coming.
Think about it like water pressure in your plumbing. When you turn on the shower and the pressure drops, that's a signal. Maybe you've got a leak somewhere. Maybe your pressure regulator's failing. Maybe 3 fixtures are running at once. But if every time the pressure drops, you just crank up the main valve to compensate, you never see the problem. You're just masking symptoms until one day a pipe bursts and floods your whole job site. That's what casual transfers do to your cash management. Your OpEx account should tell you if payroll's going to be tight next week. Your JobEx account should signal whether you've got enough margin cushion to cover committed subdraws. Your retainage reserve should show you if you're carrying enough float for those 90-day releases your GC loves to drag out. But if you're constantly shuffling money around to patch holes, those balances become meaningless. You're flying blind, unable to forecast payroll strain, vendor pressure, or retainage drag until the sheriff's already at the door. Profit First for Commercial Construction draws a clear line. Allocation is intentional, rhythmic, and recorded. Transfer is just mechanical movement, usually desperate, always destructive to your ability to see what's really happening.
An allocation isn't just cash changing addresses. It's specific, scheduled act. An allocation isn't just cash changing addresses. It's a specific, scheduled act of assigning available cash to purpose-built accounts based on your target percentages and current realities.
Think of it like Sunday dinner planning. You don't just throw ingredients in a pot and hope for the best. You allocate the chicken for the main course, the vegetables for sides, and if you're smart, you save the good bourbon for after everyone's fed. Here's what makes a real allocation in PFCC. First, it's allocation first sequencing. You divvy up the money before you pay bills, even when payroll pressure's got you sweating like a sinner in church. Pay first and allocate later, and you'll never know what you really had to work with. Second, it follows construction rhythm. Weekly or biweekly, sync to your payroll and pay app timing, not some consultant's fantasy calendar that ignores how construction cash actually flows. Third, it's recorded at the moment of transfer. None of this "I'll catch up the books later" nonsense. You record it when you move it, or you'll spend more time untangling your accounts than a cat in a yarn factory. Fourth, it preserves the signal. Because you allocate before you pay, your account balances tell you what you can afford and where you're stretched. Before, you're in a bind. By contrast, a casual transfer is just mechanical money movement, usually reactive, always ad hoc, and purpose obscuring as mud on a windshield.
Now, PFCC doesn't play with generic business accounts that make about as much sense as a screen door on a submarine. We use construction-specific accounts that actually reflect how your cash behaves.
JobEx, job expenses. This is where all your direct job money lives. Subs, materials, field labor, job-specific rentals, permits, bonds. If it touches a job and shows up on your job cost report, It comes from JobEx. Keep job cash separate from overhead, or you'll never know if you're making money on actual work or just keeping the lights on. OpEx, operating expenses. This is overhead, payroll, admin expenses, and here's the kicker, off P&L cash drains like principal payments on debt. Most guys think they're profitable until that equipment note hits and suddenly they're scrambling like a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs. OpEx captures the real cash burden of running your business. Owner's compensation account. Your pay gets funded weekly or biweekly, synchronized to payroll, kept completely separate from employee payroll. Because if you don't pay yourself on rhythm, you won't pay yourself at all. Tax account. Held at a separate bank entirely, where it's harder to raid when Tuesday's cash crunch makes that tax money look mighty tempting. If you can, you'll spend it. That's just human nature. Job deposits, liability, and retainage reserve. Customer prepayments and retainage are segregated and treated as restricted funds. These aren't your piggy banks. They're money you're obligated to spend on specific jobs or return to customers. Raid these to cover payroll, and you're creating end-of-job cash crises that'll make today's problems look like a gentle breeze.
Let me walk you through what disciplined allocation actually looks like in practice. This is the rhythm that turns cash chaos into cash control.
Step 1. Time it to your calendar. Allocate weekly or biweekly. Synchronize with payroll and your pay app calendar. This isn't rocket science, it's common sense. Move money when you actually have money to move and when you know what's coming due. Step 2. Allocate before you pay. Review your balances and upcoming obligations. Assign cash to JobEx, OpEx, owner's comp, and tax based on your target percentages and current priorities. Record those entries at the exact moment you transfer the money. No shortcuts, no "I'll catch up later" excuses. Step 3. The right account to pay each bill. Subs and materials come from JobEx. Overhead and principal payments come from OpEx. Owner's compensation gets funded on rhythm. Tax stays parked at the separate bank. Deposits and retainage are only touched for their restricted purposes. Every dollar knows its job. Step 4. Read the signals, then decide. If JobEx can't cover committed subs without starving OpEx, that's not a cash flow problem. It's a pricing, schedule, or AR problem. Let the balances speak before crisis does. And you've got time to act deliberately instead of reactively.
Let me show you what the difference looks like with actual numbers, because this isn't theory, it's how money acts in your business.
Let's say a $50,000 pay app just hit your account on Monday morning. Allocation approach. You sit down Tuesday morning and you allocate first. JobEx gets $30,000, 60%. OpEx gets $12,000. Owner's comp gets $5,000. Tax gets $3,000. The result, each balance now tells you exactly what you can afford. JobEx shows $30,000 available for subs and materials. OpEx shows $12,000 to cover this week's overhead and next week's payroll. Owner's comp is funded. Tax is safe. Now let's look at the transfer approach. Monday afternoon, you move $20,000 to cover a sub payment you forgot about. Wednesday, you transfer $8,000 for payroll that's hitting Friday. Thursday, the lumberyard calls, so you shuffle another $15,000 result. Your balances are meaningless noise. You've got $7,000 sitting in your main account, but you have no earthly idea what that number represents. Can you afford that equipment rental next week? Can you cover next Friday's payroll? You're guessing, not managing. Here's the real kicker. Casual transfers cost you money in ways you don't even see. Overdraft fees when you misjudge available cash. Double counting errors in your accounting. Time wasted on reconciliation nightmares. Crisis decisions when you can't see strain coming. Simple truth. Clean allocations prevent expensive surprises.
Now, I'm not naive. I know cash crunches happen. Jobs get delayed, pay apps get held up, customers drag their feet, and equipment breaks at the worst possible time.
The goal isn't to never move money. It's to move money deliberately, with full visibility. Here's the PFCC protocol for handling shortfalls. First, reaffirm allocation first. Allocate and observe the shortfall explicitly in your balances, instead of paying first and pretending everything's fine. The truth may hurt, but lies kill businesses. Second, make deliberate reallocation decisions. If you must move cash, do it consciously. Record it at transfer time. This preserves the data trail and forces you to plan your next move instead of just hoping for the best. Third, adjust behavior, not just balances. Reallocate and concurrently tighten something else. Accelerate your AR by calling that GC about next week's pay app. Hold discretionary spending or adjust job sequencing. Never lean on overdraft as a bridge. Overdraft is expensive money bought with money you don't have, and it masks structural issues that need fixing, not hiding. Fourth, protect restricted funds. Customer deposits and retainage aren't working capital any more than your neighbor's car is your transportation. Keep them segregated or create future crises that'll make today's problems look like a Sunday picnic.
Here's where PFCC gets really powerful. When you allocate properly, your account balances become an early warning system that forecasts cash problems before they explode.
Payroll capacity. A thin OpEx balance after allocation tells you payroll pressure is coming like storm clouds on the horizon. You see it Tuesday, so you can fix it by Friday. Accelerate AR, right size overhead, or delay that discretionary equipment purchase. Vendor stress. If JobEx can't cover upcoming subdraws after you allocate, that's your signal to adjust billing, sequencing, or payment terms. Before costs snowball and relationships sour. Retainage drag. In markets where retainage sits longer than leftover Thanksgiving turkey, you raise your reserve buffer floors to carry the float without starving OpEx or owner pay. Your target JobEx percentage, OpEx percentage, and desired owner and tax funding become guardrails in your bid process. You embed these right into your estimating, so jobs are truly cash positive at the bank, not just on paper. And here's the thing, different contract types need different assumptions. Lump sum jobs move cash differently than cost plus work. Retainage timing, approval lag, and audit cycles all change your cash need. PFCC lets you adjust allocation assumptions based on your actual contract mix.
Let me paint you a picture of what this looks like in real time because systems only work if they fit into your actual weekly rhythm.
Monday. Payments arrive from your GC, aligned with your pay app calendar. Money in the door feels good, but don't celebrate yet. Tuesday. Allocation day. You allocate first on your weekly cadence. JobEx gets its percentage. OpEx gets its share. Owner's comp is funded. Tax goes to the separate bank. You record those entries at the exact moment cash moves between accounts. Now you know exactly what you can afford. Wednesday through Thursday. You pay subs and vendors from JobEx. Overhead expenses come from OpEx. Owner's compensation is already funded. Tax money stays parked where you can't touch it. Customer deposits and retainage remain segregated like oil and water. Friday. You review balances and read the signals. OpEx is looking tight for next week. The signal triggers action. You tighten your pay app follow-up. Hold that discretionary expense you were considering or adjust job scheduling. No hidden transfers. No overdraft band-aids. The signal survives because your books stay clean and your balances stay accurate. You see problems early and act deliberately instead of scrambling reactively like a cat on a hot tin roof.
Look, construction is complicated enough without your own cash management system working against you.
Allocations are intentional. They're rhythmic. They're recorded. They turn cash movement into cash intelligence. Transfers are just movement, usually reactive, always purpose obscuring, and they destroy the signals your business desperately needs to survive. Here's what changes when you master this distinction. Your JobEx balance tells you your real gross margin cushion. In actual dollars you can spend. Your OpEx balance forecasts payroll pressure and overhead strain before crisis hits. Your owner's comp account ensures you actually get paid, on rhythm, without guilt or scrambling. Your tax account stays untouchable because it's out of sight at a separate bank. Your job deposits and retainage reserves protect you from end-of-job cash crises and legal liability. And here's the thing. You stop playing shell games with your own money. You stop moving cash around hoping nobody notices the problems. You stop flying blind and making crisis decisions. You stop wondering why you work so hard but can't seem to get ahead. If you're ready to turn cash chaos into cash control, start with one simple change. Allocate before you pay. Every single time. Pick a day. Make it Tuesday if your pay apps hit Mondays. Make it Wednesday if payroll's on Fridays. And make that your allocation day. Set your target percentages. Move the money. Record it immediately. Then pay bills from the right accounts. Watch what happens over the next month. Your balances will start telling you the truth. You'll see problems coming in time to fix them. And you'll finally understand where your money's actually going instead of wondering where it went.
If you want the full system, how to set your target percentages, which banks to use, how to sync this with your job costing, and how to handle those edge cases that trip up most contractors, grab the book, Profit First for Commercial Construction on Amazon. It's the complete blueprint for turning profit first principles into a system that actually works for how contractors operate. Not theory, practical field-tested methods that account for retainage, job deposits, progress billings, and all the construction-specific cash flow realities that generic businesses, not theory, practical field-tested methods that account for retainage, job deposits, progress billing, and all the construction-specific cash flow realities that generic business advice completely ignores. You can also visit ProfitFirstConstruction.com to learn more or schedule a consultation with our team. We work exclusively with contractors, so we understand your world. The GCs who drag their feet on the pay apps, the subs who want their checks yesterday, the equipment payments that don't show up on your P&L but show up in your bank account. And if this video helps you see your cash management differently, do me a favor, subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell. Every week we're putting out straight talk content on construction cash flow, pricing, overhead management, and the real world money issues that keep contractors up at night. Your bank account should tell you the truth, not sweet lies that lead to bitter endings. Stop shuffling dollars like a desperate poker player and start allocating like the business owner you are.